Good morning everyone and welcome to the class. We are doing the chapter Civilizing the Native, Educating the Nation, and we have completed our discussion of the chapter, and now we have started doing extra questions. So today we will continue with those extra questions only. Okay, so now we have the question. The question is, what do you mean by, or the question is, who is a linguist? Who is a linguist? So in answering this question, what we will write down, that linguist is someone who knows and studies several languages. Linguist is someone who knows and studies several languages. Several languages. Now the next question is, who established the Asiatic Society of Bengal? Who established the Asiatic Society of Bengal? So, who was the person behind this establishment of Asiatic Society of Bengal? It was William Jones and Thomas Colebrook and Nathaniel Halhed. These three people were there behind this establishment of Asiatic Society of Bengal. So what will be the answer? The Asiatic Society of Bengal was established by William Jones, Thomas Colebrook and Nathaniel Halhed. Okay, and then the next question is, we have the next question, and it is, so the question is, name the journal started by Orientalists like William Jones. So there were other Orientalists also who were associated with this journal, Thomas Colebrook and William Halhed. But here the question is, name the journal started by Orientalist like William Jones. William Jones की तरह के जो Orientalist थे, उन्होंने किस जर्नल को स्टार्ट किया? What is your answer? Your answer is Asiatic Researches. So the name of the journal was Asiatic Researches. This Asiatic Researches was the journal started by Orientalists like William Jones. Okay, and now we have some other questions, like the next question is, what do you mean by madrasa. What do you mean by madrasa? So, madrasa was, you write down, madrasa was an Arabic word for a place of learning. Madrasa was an Arabic, is, not was, madrasa is an Arabic word for a place of learning. Okay, and now we will see the next question. Our next question is, what? Okay, the next question is, what were the views of Orientalists what were the views of what were the views of Orientalists regarding education in India? Okay, so what will be your answer? The views of Orientalists regarding education in India were following, and then you will give some points. Okay, so first point is that the first point is they were of the opinion that the British ought to promote Indian rather than Western learning in India. They were of the opinion that the British ought to promote Indian rather than Western learning in India. Okay, and the next point is they were of the opinion that institutions should be set up to encourage the study of ancient Indian text. Next point, teaching should be done in Sanskrit and Persian language. Then the next point is they wanted that the British should learn from Indian culture, and Indians would also rediscover their own heritage. Then the next point is the British will win a place in the hearts of the natives by reviving their ancient culture and heritage. British would win a place in the hearts of the natives by encouraging their culture and heritage, by reviving their culture and heritage. And in this way, the British ruler will be respected by their subject, and in this way the British rulers will be respected by their subjects. So these were the views of Orientalists. And now we come to the next part. The next question is our next question is, on what basis the Orientalist vision of learning, on what basis the Orientalist vision of learning was criticized. So you will write down, the Orientalist vision of learning was criticized on the following basis. The first is, the critics were of the opinion that the knowledge of East was full of errors. The knowledge of East was full of errors and unscientific thought. Then the next point is, Eastern literature was non-serious. Eastern literature was non-serious. Okay, and the next point is, the aim of education ought to be to teach what was useful and practical. The aim of education ought to be to teach what was useful and practical. So Indians should be made familiar with scientific and technical advances that the West has made. And now we come to the next question. Name the critics of Orientalist vision of learning. The first is James Mill and the second is Thomas Babington Macaulay. Okay, and now we see the next question. What do you mean by vernacular? Okay, what do you mean by vernacular? So you will write down the answer. Vernacular refer to a local language as different from what is considered as standard language. Vernacular refer to a local language as different from what is considered as standard language. During the British rule, the British used this term to mark the difference between the local language of everyday use and English. During the British rule, the British used the term to mark the difference between the local language of everyday use and English. Okay, And in this regard, you must remember, if there can be questions like what were the views of James Mill and what were the views of Thomas Babington Macaulay. So in that you can give that answer जिसमें हमने criticism का basis बताया, on what basis they criticized Orientalist vision of learning. ठीक है, उसमें आप उसको उसी आंसर को आप उसमें डाल सकते हैं. ओके, and next we will see what do you mean by what was Wood's dispatch? What was Wood's dispatch? So in this you will write that in 1854 the court of directors of the East India Company in London sent an educational dispatch. In 1854 the court of directors of East India Company in London sent an educational dispatch to the Governor General in India, issued by Charles Wood. You can give in points also. ये first point हो गया. In 1854 the court of directors of East India Company in London sent an educational dispatch to the Governor General in India. Then the second point is issued by Charles Wood, the president of the board of control of the company. It has come to be known as Wood's dispatch. Then the third point is this Wood's dispatch outlined the educational policy that was to be followed in India. Okay, and now we have the next question. The next question is, what were the practical uses of the Wood's dispatch? What were the practical uses of the Wood's dispatch? So the first point, we will write down the practical uses of the following are the practical uses of the Wood's dispatch. The first is the English education which was to be followed in India according to Wood's dispatch would enable Indians to recognize the advantages that flow from the expansion of trade and commerce. Okay, next sentence इसी point में आपका next sentence होगा, Indians would become not will, past tense की चीज़ है, Indians would become aware of the European ways of life. They would change their taste and desires and create a demand for British goods. So this was the first practical use of this Wood's dispatch. Then the second, Wood's dispatch also argued that European learning would improve the moral character of Indians. Moral character of Indians, and it would make them truthful and honest. And it would make them truthful and honest. So these are the two important practical uses of Wood's dispatch. So this is all for today.